Fanboy Modeling School. Fat Mantis, and I'm here with my man
Steve. Real name, no gimmicks. Your uncle here with you to the end.
Uncle Steve, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Happy to be here for another Tuesday. Fanboy Modeling School, always jazzed up. I'm a little bit more energetic than usual at this time.
Energetic? I was about to say you're very mellow right now.
I feel good, man. I feel good.
Like
how
a
are you?
Hindu cow who smoked weed.
Standing at the butcher shop, like they're not going to take me in there. I know that much.
Oh man, things are good. Amazing things are happening to this country, or we're going to be taken from by aliens. Who knows? The drones are out. We're going to discuss that later. We're discussing a lot of cinema, particularly the comic book zone. It has returned, guys. Is it worth our time? Is it worth our money? We're going to get into that, of course. And then we've got a few hot button topics. Particularly, we're going to be doing a discussion about the Netflix movie Mary.
Oh.
Is it the height of blasphemy or just good plain cinema? We're going to get into that. You're here with the Fanboy Modeling School live on Live 365 and Riz Radio music for your next breakup.
Yeah, indeed. And don't worry, I did hit the record button. I heard you threatening me over the loud music before the show started.
That's the problem with mellow people. They think everything is threatening. You raise your voice a bit and like, oh, he's threatening me. He's threatening me.
Just threatening people. Typically, mellow people are like, oh, that doesn't seem so bad. But when the fool with the axes in the background, like, I don't understand why no one wants to hang out with me.
So before we torch all of human society, my question for you, man, is: do you have any, honorable mentions? That's what they call them.
You know what? I said we weren't going to talk about this, but hell, the heck with it, man. We're going to talk about it, man. I have, as of yet, not watched the new Star Wars show, and I'm okay with you ruining it for me, but I've heard that it's pretty good from you, and it seems like the buzz around it is really good. What's the name of the show again?
The Skeleton Crew.
All right. Skeleton Crew. So you're up to date on it, I assume?
I didn't watch tonight's episode, but that's what I do after the show. But yes, I've watched the first 3 episodes and I am digging it.
Okay, so you said it's very family friendly, but does it have any bite to it at all, man? Because if it's just, more Stranger Things, kids running around being cute in the universe, I might check it out. But if it ain't got no bite.
Here's what it is. I don't like to do the comparison to Stranger Things because it's a very different show from Stranger Things. Here's the thing. People see a group of kids. There's like one adult in the series. And they're like, oh, it's like Stranger Things. It's nothing like Stranger Things. However, it's on the same entertainment value where, yeah, the bite, it never gets too bitey, if you feel me.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Hey, man, sometimes it's just got to be that way, right? You just got to have Go ahead.
I just want to remind people, and I think a lot of people forget this, that Star Wars at its core is family-friendly entertainment. It's made for kids. Remember the Ewoks, guys. Remember all this kind of crazy stuff. And so ultimately, I'm for it. I think it's a good thing that we're watching the adventure of a group of kids. It's what Star Wars needed. It's possible that the Acolyte, Ahsoka, even Mandalorian. I don't know if
anyone else lost his audio, but I can't hear Mantis. Keep talking. I assume that
Okay.
Everyone else can hear you.
All of them, I think that they are. Now I've lost my train of thought, man. Thanks. Thanks.
I'll can I leave the studio and come right back while we keep the podcast going?
Absolutely. But I just think that like people have think that, you know, I think people focus too much on edginess. I think people are like really into edginess, and that's what they think Star Wars should be. What up, Shaolin Iceboxer? It's possible that Star Wars is too wholesome for the edge lords that modern Americans have become, and that's what we're never entertained. We're like, look at this. We think we want edgy, but we don't want edgy. We want family, cuddly fun. But here I am. I am the Fat Mantis. Who knows if this guy will ever come back? I don't know what's going on with him. I assume people out in radio world, you can actually hear my voice. If you can't, please hit me up in the chat and let me know that this is not working out. But I just assume it is, Steve and his poor technology. You know, he loves shoddy craftsmanship. Oh, he can hear me. He can hear me insulting him over the airwaves. That is always good to hear. Today, we've got a lot of crazy things, but honestly, before we move topics, I will say, check out the Skeleton Crew. It is a good time. My man, Shaolin Iceboxer, who's pretty much an expert on Star Wars, here's what he has to say. That edgelord's comment was spot on. Nobody is happy about anything anymore. That's right. Here's what it is. We can't have fun things in our Star Wars universe. We can't have fun things in our superheroes. And so an example of this, I don't know if you had heard this. Obviously, I always listen to like these spoilers and these what I like to call whack jobs, spoiling all sorts of stuff. And one of the things they said before Deadpool and Wolverine came out is they actually predicted. They said that it was a mid-adventure at best, and it wasn't going to be very entertaining. That is the word on the street from people who had already seen it. Now, I don't know about you, but my mind is blown by that very concept because it was so good. It was so spot on. It was so tonally correct with Deadpool 1 and 2. I couldn't imagine that people believe that, but they did say that. And so, you know what? It's making me not even believe the Captain America 4 rumors. People were saying it's mid. It's not very good. It's not very good. Well, it depends who saw it. You know what I mean? Like, did the right fans see it? Did real fans? Did fair weather fans see it? Did normies see it? Or did comic book people see it? Oftentimes, we do not agree with the normies, right? Dragon Lady, welcome to the stream. How are you? How is my man Steven over there? It looks like and all is good. Asinine. Yes, absolutely. So Ellen Iceboxer over in the chat. Did you see the Skeleton Crew? What are your thoughts? Man, you always have the best insight. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Because when it is when people are jumping on this bandwagon of this idea that they're like Captain America supposedly sucks.
Okay, I'm back. It was all on my side, and I'm sorry. What about Captain America? Why do people hate Black Captain America? Because
he's blacked in America or something. I don't know. This is another example why we can't have good things. We can't have nice things because there's always going to be a contingent of fans who are hating on a property that they claim to love, and that's already happening with Captain America. Right. There's a bunch of people who've seen it already, and they're like, "It's horrible, it sucks." But what I was saying is that's what they said. That's what a bunch of people said at some of the test viewings for Wolverine and Deadpool.
Really? I didn't know that, bro. I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I realized I can't trust anyone. I can only trust myself. Yes, it is. I trust you because I know how to interpret your reviews, and I trust Shaolin.
Right.
Who else do I trust?
The question is, do we trust you?
Yeah, that is the question. Do you?
I was for sure. I was for sure
Guys.
you were going to say yes. You do trust me. Let me tell you.
No, but I'm trying to make the argument that everyone needs to make a decision. Who do you trust? Make sure you're listening to who you trust, and don't just listen to a tomato score or whatever, a cinema score or something stupid like that.
So wait, when is the release date for the new Captain America movie? Let's start there.
It's Valentine's Day, so we ain't seeing it the first day. We could see it the second day. That's a little less shady. Everything all right? Oh, okay. So it looks like Uncle Steve has some technical difficulties. Sheldon says, "Man, believe it or not, I haven't watched it yet." Wow. Okay. You know what it is? Is it possible? I've just kind of pitched this idea. Is it possible that you haven't rushed to the new Star Wars product because you've rushed to other Star Wars products and you've either felt a way about them, or when you like them, you were attacked online, even passively. Like, even you don't even share your comments and you're just going through online and someone's like, anyone who likes the Acolyte is a freaking idiot. And then you start to feel away and it makes you hate the brand. You become resentful of the brand rather than the actual product, which is really what people should be reviewing. But unfortunately, yeah, it does put a sour taste in my mouth that I can't like nice things. I'm glad that a lot of the internet, I feel, has my back on the Skeleton Crew. But, for instance, when I was liking the Acolyte, the fact that so many people didn't and they were being super aggressive online was taking the fun out of liking the Acolyte. And so Sheldon thinks that's hysterical, right? But Star Wars fans, they really are the worst. And it's so funny. All these years, I've always defended the Star Wars fan. People in the beginning, when they started hating on, like, I think it started with Force Awakens. People just started hating on it, even though so many loved it. That's a $2 billion movie. Most people loved it. And people started criticizing the fans, and I took a very Henry Cavill view of it. That a fan pays his money. He's more dedicated than anyone else. He buys more of the extra stuff, the gear, the swag, the books, the comics. Lord knows, when I was a young man, in my original house, I lost. There was a period in my life when I was a young man that I ended up losing everything I owned, pretty much. Except the clothes off my back. And that's a longer story. But, when I was a young man, I had, and I'm thinking about my teenage years, I had a bookcase filled with Star Wars novels. I used to love to read the novels and stuff like that. And so we're dedicated like that. And so my feeling was we had the right to bitch when something wasn't perfect. And I still kind of stand by that. I think we should be able to bitch and be like, you've got this wrong, Disney. And I think that's totally fine. I just think people who go too far with it. And the fact that, like, anyone is receiving death threats over the new Star Wars property is beyond me. I'm just not thrilled anymore. It's a crazy ex-girlfriend. You break up with them, but then occasionally get some only to break up again. Yes. I feel you on that. I feel you. It has taken the fun out of it, of being a Star Wars fan. And so I understand why people didn't rush to this. I think it's happening with Marvel too. I think people are not in the rush to see the next Marvel property. I actually think people took a chance with Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it's because people love Deadpool. They love Ryan. People are gonna kill me. I'm forgetting which Ryan it was. The Ryan. They love his work, and of course, they love seeing Hugh Jackman again. And so they took a chance with that. But I think it's possible that Marvel has, in one aspect, they are partially responsible for permanently damaging their brand, but in another aspect, there's also a contingent of toxic fans, just like there is in all fandoms. And look who came by. It's the Pink Princess herself. Solo show tonight. No, Uncle Steve is stretching right now. He's out there stretching. Hashtag fangirls for fanboys. Let's see what's going on with the unks.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm having technical difficulties tonight.
I love that 4K voice coming back at us.
Sorry about that, man. Definitely having some technical difficulties right now. Don't know what it's about, but let's just keep the show rolling.
It wouldn't be a stream if there weren't technical difficulties. Exactly. Dragon Lady says Reynolds. Yes, Ryan Reynolds, the Ryan, right? He's the Ryan.
All right. So where were you, man? I'm sorry.
We were just saying about toxic fandom and how basically every fandom now has a portion of it that watches it and then is ultra vocal on the internet. And it takes the fun out of watching it.
Absolutely. I mean, but that's what sells today on YouTube, right? It's like you gotta have the ability to shit. Oh, pardon my language. I'm gotta reset. You gotta have the ability to ruin everyone else's fun, right?
Right. And so I'll tell you just a quick synopsis of the Skeleton Crew and what's it about. It's a group of kids who end up in a pirate ship. And a pirate and a droid pirate end up coming for the ship, taking it back, and so it's Jude Law and this evil maniacal droid with 4 little kids running around them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to make money and they're trying to get home, and you know what I'm saying, and he's like thinking, is there a way to make money off of this? And so it's fun, it's cute. I like it. I'm into it.
So he's not a Jedi then. Whatever they showed me in the trailer was a lie. He's not levitating anything with his mind. It's all a lie.
That may or may not have been a lie that he was tricking. He was tricking the kids. Basically, the kids had possession of the ship. He wanted the ship, so he pretended he was a Jedi, and so they would take him in and be like, "Oh, let's listen to him. He's a Jedi. He's a good guy."
Turns out he's another weirdo hanging out in the bathroom.
He's just another pervert.
Oh my goodness!
Why am I laughing at this? Oh my god!
What do we got for main topics tonight, man? Which main topic do you want to kick it off with?
Let's cut. You want to cut into some of that red meat right now, right? And so I think we should cut into one of yours.
Okay.
Because I have a feeling, and let's see what's going on. Did you want to hit up the Kraven the Hunter?
I don't care. I already knew the movie was going to be horrible. There was no way it wasn't going to be bad. And it wasn't because they released the first 8 minutes, because there have been other movies that have done that have been okay, right? They've been totally fine. I knew it was going to be bad because it didn't have Spider-Man in it. Because Kraven, no one really cares about his backstory. We care about it enough as it leads to a conflict with Spider-Man. Would you agree with that assessment?
Absolutely, 1,000%.
So here we are in a situation where we have one of the best stories told in Spider-Man's lore, with one of the best villains for that small little arc without Spider-Man. So how could it make any sense? I've never heard anyone say, man, if only they could make a movie with Kraven where Russell Crowe played his dad, and maybe we get a poorly CGI'd animated version of the Rhino, and the Chameleon will finally get to see his brother. People, because fans have been clamoring for the Chameleon for never.
Once again, they've been clamoring for the Chameleon. They have been, in regards to fighting Spider-Man. Certainly not alone.
No one's clamoring for the Chameleon. Even when I played the Spider-Man video game, God bless it, when it came out for PS4, I was like, oh, there's a Chameleon side mission. I'll come back to that.
I mean, I don't know what that was about, but I'm saying I think people like the Chameleon. Even though I haven't seen it, people are saying that special effects to do him were even horrible in this movie.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure, because there's no way they could have done this right. But here's the good news, folks. I guess we're looking at it as good news, depending on how you see this. Because of the flop of Kraven, Sony is officially out of the villain verse, or allegedly. I don't think they've confirmed themselves yet. They're done making the villain verse movies.
But do you realize what that means they could probably try to do?
They could try to snatch Spider-Man back.
And that might be even more disastrous. So who knows? Because here's the thing: of villain verse movies. Although I do not in any way, shape, or form justify them, I feel like I could have made better movies out of Venom. I wouldn't even have messed with Kraven. There's mad villains I would have given a movie before I give Kraven. But I feel like I could have done way better movies than what they did. So it just seems like Sony is in general incompetent in making movies. And so what are they going to do if they bring Spider-Man in there? Right? Are they going to make the Madam Web Spider-Man movie? Would Spider-Man appearing in Madam Web made it better? I don't even think that's possible. Thanos wouldn't have made that better. And so it's I think that this is a sign of bad things, because remember, Sony has said I mean, this was years ago, but they said they will die with the rights to Spider-Man. They're never going to sell them back. That's what they claimed.
Okay. I apologize. I didn't hear any of that, but I'm sure it was well articulated. Folks, I'm having the worst issues tonight, but I believe the last thing I heard was you saying that Sony's going to pull Spider-Man back. Normally, I would be really upset at the notion of that, my brother. I love me some Spider-Man in the MCU. But here's how you deal with a toxic ex, right? At a certain point, you just got to cut contact, right? You got to hope that the kid that you had with each other will come back to, their senses and realize you weren't the horrible one in this situation. Does that make sense to you, my brother?
Oh, of course it does.
Like, you got to
hope. I bribe them. That's what I do.
You would bribe them?
I bribe the kids, man. They come back. I don't just hope. I don't hope. I hope they have faith in daddy. I hope they have faith in daddy. That's a $20 bill right there.
Oh, so Mantis would actually go there. He would go there. But so tell me again. So Sony's saying that you have to claw this from our dead hands, essentially?
That's what they said a long time ago. Because remember, so to do a quick recap of this whole thing, when Sony wanted to make their first Spider-Man movie, Marvel was dying to lease, and I want to stress lease, the live action rights to their characters. And Sony said, and at the time, this was their policy: we don't make movies of characters we don't own.
Okay.
And so they ended up giving Marvel a boatload of money. However, they ended up buying a percentage of Spider-Man, which means they don't just own the live action rights the way, Fox had the X-Men. Mm-hmm. They actually own the comic book character Spider-Man. They own a part of it.
Okay.
And so they had veto power over the comic book, and there aren't any horror stories of them going over the editors and being like, you need to change this. They didn't. However, but they did own it. And that's a much bigger deal than what Fox had. Fox was just leasing the rights to Fantastic Four, and the X-Men. But they actually own part of Spider-Man, Sony, and they said couple of years back when they were fighting, I think this was 2016, they were fighting over something with Marvel. They said they're like, Spider-Man is too much of a cash cow. We will, this company will fold before it sells back the rights to Spider-Man.
Well, that's great that they said that, but okay, so let's just look at this another way, right? The original contract still stands in spite of whatever portion that they sold to them in regards to the comic rights. So let them take Spider-Man back, man. What are we losing, right? Close out the arc, finish it. Let the fans have a great experience with the last 3 Spider-Man movie in the MCU, right? You know what I'm saying? Just let it happen. I'm sorry, last 4. Let it happen. Call them on their bluff. Like, pull them back over there. Let's see what you do. And you better do something good, because if it flops, which it will, I'm talking about playing hardball, Mantis. That's what I'm talking about. You gotta put these people in their place. It's like, yeah, go ahead.
Basically, what you're saying is, you're like, go ahead, trash the franchise. That's you losing money, not me. I have the Avengers.
But from a
I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah, from a business standpoint, if I was Marvel, I'd be like, you know what, this isn't worth it, man. I think even the fans at this point, logical ones, would be like, hey man, if that's the way Sony wants to play with it, then I would rather not see a bad movie. I really would. In regards to all these properties, man, I would rather not see a bad movie. And whose fault is it that you keep making bad movies? It's not Marvel's fault, It's
And,
not
and
even-
you know what's funny? I have to say I weep for several like superhero movies that weren't made, but one of them, one of the biggest ones that just breaks my heart that I'm never going to be able to see it. It keeps me up at night. Is Venom versus Spider-Man. That would have been a no-brainer to make one of those three Venom movies a Spider-Man versus Venom. If they're going to take Tom Holland to do any movie, that was the movie to take him to Sony for.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? Sony's gonna Sony, man, and they did what they did, bro. Like, here's the thing, but you know what? Don't listen to me be angry. Let's listen to what's this guy's name again?
Oh, Emergency Awesome. Oh, another thing I have to say, one of the things I have to say, this is very typical movie, very typical Hollywood. However, what's his first name? Ogburn. He's one of the guys on Screen Crush. He's not the main guy with the blue shirt. He's the one who's in the TV.
Yeah.
He had said something that like I thought was like brilliant. He was like, if you're gonna do Kraven the Last Hunt, one of his best stories, they should have done Kraven the Last Hunt, but swapped Spider-Man out for Venom.
Yeah,
And I was like, that would have been a better movie.
that would
Right?
have been a better movie, but again, Sony gonna Sony, right? Sony
Yeah.
is gonna Sony, and they're gonna do just wild stuff, brother. Just wild. I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah, no, I'm super flabbergasted. Let's see what's up.
Coming?
Welcome back, everyone. Sony reported recently that it's no longer making any more of the Spider-Man spin-off movies and live-action villains in their connected Venom universe, effectively killing what has been the Sony Marvel universe. RIP, press F to pay respects. We all saw this coming a long time ago, but Sony is still going to make Spider-Man related movies. They're still doing Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse right now. They still have that Spider-Man noir live-action TV show with Nicolas Cage, but none of those were made as part of the
I wonder what
connected
that's gonna
Venom
be.
universe of movies. On top of this, Sony also announced their plans to reboot those with new creative down the road and new characters. Like they're trying again, so we'll break that all down. The report they posted has some truly baffling reveals in it about what was going on behind the scenes at Sony when they were making all these villain spin-off movies. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There was
Madam
that
Web was just
MCU
the worst
Spider-Man
movie ever.
TV show in
Yeah,
January.
man,
I'll
they
be
can
doing
stop
episode videos for that. There's the Spider-Man Noir TV show. I'll be doing episode videos for that too. Beyond the Spider-Verse in a couple years. I think we're all expecting that to be a banger. Like it is possible for Sony to actually make good Spider-Man related things. It is possible. The real question is what happened with these Venom universe movies and why did it all go so bad over there if they were doing such great things with like the Spider-Verse movies, for example. These are the 6 movies, though, that are considered to be part of what we call the Sony
Look at
Marvel
this
universe
percentage.
as it exists today. The Spider-Verse movies, for example, they were made by a totally different group of people inside Sony. Like Lord and Miller, who are the lead producers making those, have no connection to the Venom movies or like anything else that they were doing with the live
That
action
is
movies.
wild how
So that's
much
why we don't
people hate
include
those.
those
Yeah,
when
that's
we're talking about the
crazy.
Sony Marvel universe. Notice the different Rotten Tomatoes scores. It paints a real picture. Like even the Venom movies, which actually did earn some decent money for Sony, did very poorly from a critical perspective. And generally, it seemed like it was diminishing returns over time. Like they started strong and then just got worse and worse and worse slowly over time. The report claims that Sony takes their string of failures seriously and does intend to reboot with fresh creative, but they didn't
What do you
say
mean
if they're
reboot?
firing
They're
a
gonna
ton
do
of
it
people
again?
who were responsible for greenlighting these
Whoa,
inside
whoa,
Sony
whoa,
or
whoa,
rushing them through
whoa,
production.
wait, they're gonna do it again.
Yeah, you didn't hear him. They're gonna run it back. They're gonna run
Oh,
it
like
back.
so a new Morbius,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
new Kraven. What the hell?
I'm telling you, man, I really do think that the vast conspiracy is to make the MCU fail because, like we've talked about on the show before, man, a lot of people who are just laymen and they're just going to see comic book movies, they don't really differentiate between Venom and the MCU. Like,
Right.
wasn't Venom in an MCU movie? So I think Sony and DC are in cahoots, and they're like, "Hey, man, you just keep pushing out that crap. We'll keep giving you that blood money, right? You keep making it."
Don't get me started on DC. This Thursday we are going to see the fanfic trailer for the next Superman movie, and so And I say fanfic because that's the quality James Gunn is going for right now.
You got no love in your heart for.
I got no love in my heart. Yeah. Here's what I'm saying, and that's not to say that Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 were not amazing.
Right.
I don't like I'm a purist, and I don't like people who like, for instance, in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, were you not appalled what they did to Adam Warlock?
Oh, I was absolutely appalled, man, because Adam Warlock shouldn't have been introduced that way. But that's on the MCU as a whole, man. Like, I really think that Infinity War could have benefited from having Adam Warlock in it and not trying to shoehorn Vision into a kind of Adam Warlock type of thing. I think there was too much of a heavy emphasis on Vision. But at the same time, man, it's like, this is what happens when you have like this huge creative bubble and you have all these creatives. I assume, I'm not behind the Iron Curtain, but this is to be expected. In regards to Sony, though, what's their excuse? Right? You have a shared universe. You see the formula for success, and you took every opportunity to go the opposite way, right? You took every opportunity to go the opposite way.
So here's the thing. I understand what's going on, and I feel like it's weird that people don't see that Marvel is the same as Sony. Here's the only way that Marvel is not the same as Sony is that they took time to create a basis for their universe. But here's what it is. Both of them are corporate raiders. And so I'm not going to say Marvel, but I should really say Disney.
Right.
Disney and Sony are corporate raiders. They got their hands on the property of something that's cherished and beloved. And they said, you know what? We're going to drain every drop of blood out of this property. And so they're like, I've got an idea. Let's do an Agatha All Along movie. Like, let's do The Marvels. Let's do characters people haven't heard of. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., not starring Nick Fury. His white sidekick that doesn't appear in the comics gets his own show. And we're going to run it to the ground to the point that people hate S.H.I.E.L.D. and don't even understand what S.H.I.E.L.D. is because this crap we put out, and they're just trying to get every little dime from everyone, normie idiot that doesn't know what a quality superhero thing is. And so all of it, the Penguin show, everything Sony has ever put out, and here's what it is. Sony is more blatant about it. Marvel's a little more subtle. They're like, She-Hulk, they won't even figure it out. Okay, I feel that. But Sony's just like, I don't care who it is. Give them a movie. Like, let's have an all-day movie. Let's have a Mary Jane movie. A Flash Thompson movie. Like, whatever it is, they're going to make it to just squeeze some change out of it.
Right.
Until it's raped into the ground. It's pummeled into the ground. You know the whole concept, if everyone has ever heard punch rocks, punch dirt, or whatever, you're really banging away. They're telling you to fuck the earth. That's what they're doing. They are fucking the IP into the ground until it is a pile of mashed flesh, of pounded out meat. That's what your precious comic books, that's what my childhood is.
Yes. Release the dark side. Monk Steve compels you. Go to the dark place.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna mellow out.
Listen to me, man. We can watch this entire video, right? And what it's going to be surmised by is a statement I'm about to make right now, which is off the top. I agree with everything you said, 100%. And there's no but. I'm just going to say, in addition to, Sony committed to trying to strong arm a company that is in a much better place creatively with their property. They ran that gambit. It didn't work. They should have just pulled Spider-Man and they might have been able to salvage this whole thing. They didn't. They went for the money, going off your premise, right? Marvel's like, are you sure you want to do this, right? Just like any abusive boyfriend, Marvel's like, it's cold out there. It's cold out there, Sony. It's cold out there.
Definitely. Marvel definitely is a pimp.
It's
and
cold
I don't mean in a good way. I don't mean it.
Again, I want to apologize to my co-host Mantis and everyone. Technical difficulties. I don't know. I shouldn't have hit the update button. You never hit the update button. Never ever
hit the update button.
So you're not going to be able to catch this episode on our regular podcast because every time I hit record there shortly after I lose sound and then I'm just sitting up here fuming. But I do want to point out I handled it a lot better than Mantis would have. Had that been on Mantis' side of the
you would have had a show, guys, and I would have had to repair all the holes in my wall because I really do flip when tech is not working.
But I'm just saying this, man. Like, listen, man. Let's say one day Riz Radio blows up. When Riz Radio blows up, right? And creatively you start giving us no problem. Creatively you start giving us all more license, right? And then some of us start getting bigger than others. And maybe you bring in an executive producer who you're like, all right, now this person is going to control everything, and they do good. You would stick with that format, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, what Sony decided to do was not do that. You see that crazy person sitting right next to Kevin Feige?
Yes. Oh my God, this chick
what
right
they
here.
decided to do was grab some poor soul from a coffee shop. You know that when you're trying to enjoy Starbucks and that crazy person comes in and a mentally ill person comes in, they just start screaming obscenities and you can't enjoy
just say it, a bum. A bum. A bum comes in and ruins my Starbucks then.
Man is trying to enjoy his pumpkin spice latte, and here comes this homeless person or unhomed person screaming obscenities at him. And now Mantis can't pretend that he was typing on his computer in a public place so everyone can see that he's a writer. Now he actually has to go out. That's what Sony did, man. And I feel no empathy for them. But again, I could have saved the Kraven movie. I could have done it. And you said the perfect idea, man. They should have had Kraven hunting either Morbius or Venom.
Right.
And that would have been the perfect save, man. Like, have this guy. Yeah, man. Yeah.
To be honest, and with Madam Web, you remember all the rumors that what the movie was going to contain before it came out? I wish they had. Do you remember this whole thing?
No. What happened?
So they have Emma Roberts, who's arguably the biggest star in all of that movie, but she's not playing a main character. She's playing Spider-Man's mother.
Right.
And she's pregnant.
Right.
And they just have her as a side character, and she's nothing to do with anything in the story. Originally, before it came out, people, when they found out she was playing the pregnant, mother, a rumor had spread that the story was about people who are villains who have to go back in time and kill Spider-Man as a baby to prevent him from becoming Spider-Man. That might have been a fun movie.
Yeah, that dog hunts all the way.
Oh,
yes.
Man. Yeah.
Here's a crazy thing, man. You brought that up, but it kind of ties into our next segment, which is in regard to the Virgin Mary.
Oh, he's going there. That was quite the stretch. I do like that though.
No, because it does, man. Like, we don't even necessarily have to leave what you were talking about, because that is essentially what they did with this Virgin Mary movie. But they went in, whereas Spider-Man, Madam Web didn't. So the Virgin Mary movie, they were like, we're going to put a heavy emphasis. And I don't think it was overly heavy, because I did some research, or what I should say is other people did research and I watched their research in regards to where they were pulling a lot of this information for this movie. And it's from the debunked, non-canon, fraudulent Gospel of James, right? Which gives a different account of Mary's backstory as opposed to what we get in Luke, right? I watched the movie. Did you watch the movie?
I did not watch the movie, but I do want to take a quick statement before we go any further about books of the Bible that didn't make it into the Bible.
Right.
And so I think it's what you commonly find. And who was that guy who just had a debate, Billy something or other, with the guy Huff?
Oh yeah, Billy Carson.
Yeah, Billy Carson. People like Billy Carson and all these people are trying to debunk the Bible or the creation of the Bible. And he likes to cite books that aren't even canon, right? And so what it is that there's this ongoing belief that they're like, oh, look, there's over 30 books that weren't led into the Bible. So here's how that actually happened, guys. Back in the olden days, Christians didn't have printing presses because it was the medieval times, and so they only had manuscripts where they could find. And what a common grift was is that there would be salesmen would come from from out of town, and they would be like, "You're Christians? That's interesting." Because in my what I found here on my travels, I found a copy of the Gospel of James. It turns out the merchant wrote it himself.
Right.
It's fan fiction of the Bible. And what it is that when they decided to, the Council of Nicaea put the Bible together, they actually did research on every one of them, and they found the origins of these scrolls and where they go back. And so what I'm trying to tell people is, it's not that these are books that people just hated on. They are counterfeit.
Yes.
They're absolutely counterfeit. James, it's not like James wrote this and then evil haters decided to ignore it. The Gospel of James is not real. He did not write what people call the Gospel of James.
You know what? I'm so happy you brought up the Billy Carson thing, man, because in a way it's so relevant. Not in a way. It is extremely relevant, because here's the thing that really, really, really needs to be said. That guy was so sure that he was correct. He kept bringing up the Sinai Bible, the Sinai Bible, Sinai Bible. And every show he went on, they had an opportunity to fact check him and see if what he was saying was actually true. And it only took one scholar to turn around and say, well, I actually have a copy of that concordance.
Right. Yeah.
And completely destroys argument. And that happens so often in these internet spaces, man. And I dare say so many people are misled by just fraudulent information, which is why, to accentuate Mantis's point, there are certain books that are decanonized. Someone hit me up earlier and they were asking questions about the Book of Enoch. And you and I have gone back and forth about the Book of Enoch before. And then, there's also the Book of Maccabees, right? Books that were removed. So the Book of Maccabees, there's a different response to it. The Catholic Church kept it in, and if I'm to understand it, it's canonized, but they don't believe that it's a point of historical information, right? It is not.
I guess. I mean, which is weird, because I'm like, why do you keep it in your Bible then? Why is it in the Catholic Bible? I don't get it. If they don't think it's inspired, I don't get that.
Well, here's the crazy thing. We know that not crazy, but here's the interesting thing. We know that it was referenced by writers in the New Testament because they reference things in the Book of Enoch, and they reference things in the Book of Maccabees.
Right.
But it's so easy to get a conspiracy going that people will bite on anything. And in regards to Mary, man, again, I watched the movie. I'm really surprised you didn't watch it. I've watched it.
I'm going to. Every time I'm tempted to watch it. It's just I want to take it seriously.
Yeah. I took it seriously and I watched it, man. Here's what I have to say. It's better than most Christian movies or quote unquote faith-based movies that I've seen, but it's not high up in the ladder in any other regard, man. And I'm not even going to say, I say there wasn't like I was more fearful there was going to be like an overarching feminist narration to it or like agenda, but there wasn't even that. It wasn't that. It was just not correct is the best way to surmise it. At no point did Mary do like something super powered and just put a fist up in the air and go, ladies, roar. There's none of that. There's none of that. It's just good old fashioned unbiblically untrue thing.
Well, yeah. So here's me defending the creators, right? And so what they've created is something that's blasphemous, right? And I agree with that. But at the end of the day, you can't make a movie about Mary, the canonical stuff we know about her, and it'd be interesting. You're gonna have to add some flair to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a 16-year-old girl gets pregnant and has the Lord. That's it. You know what I mean? There isn't much to the Mary story to make a movie about. So I do kind of understand as a filmmaker. I would be like, well, this is boring. Like, can we add something, please? So.
I mean, they gave it a college try, man. There's a point where it talks about, and I have to go back and read the book of Luke, and I should probably read the defunct. I started watching something on the book of James and like the Gospel of James, and I was like, I just don't need to see this right now. But there was a point where Mary causes Herod to have a vision, and then a high priestess says, "You're growing more powerful, Mary." And I was like, "Oh, here it comes."
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, but it ended right there. I promise you. At no point was Mary levitating. She wasn't moving things with her mind. She wasn't causing.
She's using magic. She's using God magic.
It stopped right there. And in fact, what you just got was, and I wouldn't say Mary's story isn't interesting but it just there were things that they didn't hit on like as heavy, like the fact that Joseph didn't turn her over in accordance with the law that she should be stoned. That was they kept that in there, right? They didn't really hit this point, the fact that Herod killed all those babies, right?
Oh, they didn't.
No, they kept it in there, but they didn't hit on it. So you remember when we were growing up, man, you watched 10 Commandments and they actually showed a scene where a guy stabs, like he doesn't stab the baby, but he stabs inside the bassinet.
Into the crib, right? We know what's going on. Yeah. I'm actually not for sanitizing the Bible, even for kids.
Right.
And so I remember I was at one point, I was at, we were at Christ camp, right? And me and my class, we were going to go sit in on another class. And the class was younger, right? And so the woman teaching the lesson was teaching Exodus.
Mm.
And she's like, and the Jews were traveling through the woods and they reached the sea, and the Pharaoh's men were coming was following them because they were mad at them and they wanted to have a word with them. It's like, what? And so later on, when I brought my kids into the other room, I said, for the record, Pharaoh wanted to kill them all. That's what's going on. That's the truth. And so because I think you miss the point of the story if you sanitize it like that. If you go, oh, he's mad at them. No, he's trying to murder them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
This is an important part of the story.
Yeah, and you know what, man, you're so right, man, because there is a huge effort to sanitize stuff, and it takes away from the veracity of the evil which was Pharaoh. And
yeah. It's funny, like kids. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say this isn't that podcast, man, but oh man, since we were talking about conspiracies and attacks on the Bible and stuff like that, one of the reasons that people are able to do that is because of popular media and how popular media in America has treated and depicted stories from the Bible, especially in the depiction of Jesus, man. You would really think Jesus was some flowy haired hippie that was just like
the progressive image of Jesus is he's a long haired hippie who is pro anything I do, and he's into whatever I say, and they ignore the words where he clearly states who he is in the Bible. And they make him who they want him to be, right?
Absolutely. Hey, what's up, Berlin? Welcome in.
Yeah, welcome in, brother. I was going to say that, the funny thing when you're teaching kids about the gospel, they very often, this is the most frustrating part about it, is they think it's easy. They think it's easy to walk the line of the gospel. And they're like, well, I know right from wrong. It'll be easy. And I'm like, when you become an adult, it becomes very hard. Becomes extremely hard, and they think it's a cakewalk. And so one of the things I do think it's important to teach kids is how savage the world was before Jesus, how inhuman the religions, quote unquote, at the time were, and the practices of the Romans and the Gentiles and all this, all this stuff. The barbarianism, the savageness, the fact that there was no humanism at all. They didn't see other creatures as human.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, man. You're talking about kids because I was watching something, I can't recall what, but it was talking about historically how the world, or at least the Roman Empire or empires, viewed children, and they were like less than human, right? They were, but I say all that to say, man, that it's the fault of popular media. The reason I dare you to go watch a documentary called American Gospel that really gets into this and how it's just like you said, sanitize all this stuff. But I see you got my favorite, this lady. I take back everything I said about her last week, man. I was watching some of her content recently, and she's a lioness, man. This woman plays.
She really is. She really is great.
Woman plays no games. What does she have to say about Mary?
Yeah, let's see. Because actually, it wasn't until she did her thing that I found out something deeper about the Mary movie that I didn't realize.
Wait, what does Berlin want to have us on for?
He wants us to
This
talk about the
Mary film, and I'm gonna bring in Bree to talk about it a little bit because I have not had the chance to watch this yet, and I'm afraid that I'm not going to have time before we're done filming for the year. But I know you guys are interested in it, so I've read all about it, and I know the problematic aspects of it. So I'll give you my thoughts, but I have not watched it in full myself. Bree has, and Bree's a hater. So she's going to bring her hating commentary to relatable today. But let me give you a little bit of a background and then we'll get Bree's commentary. So this movie called Mary, this is according to Plugged In, great resource again for you parents. It's an upcoming coming of age film that tells the story of Mary's conception of Jesus and King Herod's pursuit of them both. It came out on December 6th on Netflix. It's directed by Catholic director DJ Caruso, who said in an interview that as a practicing Catholic, I believe Mary is the most extraordinary woman ever to walk the earth. Her story, especially for the younger generation, has often been underappreciated. I wanted to create a film that presents Mary as someone we can all relate to. My hope is that audiences feel my reverence for Mary and come to see her not only as a holy figure, but as a friend, a mother, and one of the greatest heroines ever to grace the screen. In the end, it's her love that will save the world. Well, I've already got a problem.
Yeah,
already got
hold on, that is pause worthy. And so is this what Catholics are all about?
I don't listen. I'm going to choose the road of less violence right now, right? Actually, this is a great time to announce something. Mantis is my best friend, but more importantly, he's my brother in Christ, right? We've been doing Fanboy and we're going to continue doing Fanboy because it's just the right thing to do. But we do have something special for you guys, man. And I never say anything until I get the stamp of approval from my hetero life mate over here. We are starting a podcast called The Layman, right? And the podcast is going to be where we can really dig into these type of topics. That's right. It is a Christian commentary podcast from two laymen in theology, two laymen in the church. Mantis does. I hold no pastoral authority, right? Mantis is very invested in his own church. So he brings that to the table. I'm just the guy that knows a thing or two about a thing or two. So here's the thing about this, right? I will say this in regards to that statement. If the term by saying her love will save the world means that we are turning love into a noun or an adjective and her love is Jesus, they are absolutely correct. If they are trying to somehow insinuate that Mary is in any way, shape, or form responsible for your salvation or how you are saved, do not believe that. I will not be convinced of it. I've heard some convincing arguments about why you're allowed to have Mary pray on your behalf, but none of it has to do with salvation.
Yeah. No, that is wild. It's her love that will save us all.
Right.
And so my guess is this guy DJ Caruso probably also is like the Christian we talked about earlier, uneducated in the Bible.
Right.
He probably doesn't know what is known about Mary. That's why he didn't object to the script in the first place.
Right.
And so he's just like, yeah, she can do all things. She's magical, man.
Yeah.
Because I find it funny that they gave her superpowers in the story.
Well, no, I want to make sure I'm representing correctly. there was just that one moment. Herod looks at her, and it causes him to have a vision. She didn't like raise her hand and rebuke him.
Right, but still, like, you know.
But the high priestess definitely said, "You're growing more powerful," and I was like, "What?" Like,
because having God in your belly gives you power.
Because of course it wasn't Mary's love that saved the world. She did have great love. I think that Mary was full of grace. That's what we read of her in scripture. And I think it's beautiful how she submitted to the Lord's will, knowing that it could cost her her reputation, thinking that, oh my goodness, what if this cost me my marriage? Of course, she was comforted by the angel that was all going to work out, but she trusted God and she believed him and she carried Jesus, which is an extremely significant role. But was it her love that saved the world? No, it was God's love that saved the world. That's, of course, what we read in John 3:16. Timothy Michael Hayes wrote the screenplay after consulting with priests, bishops, Baptists, pastors, rabbis, Mormons, and Muslims.
Yes,
along with biblical scholars and theologians.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. Just taken aback by rabbis. Because we're laughing right now, but it's spot on. It is spot on. It is true. Why are they consulting with rabbis? You know what? You know what I'm hoping it is?
What's that?
Probably because they wanted to consult about the historic stuff about Judaism.
Yeah.
That's a good reason to talk to a rabbi. Other than that, I don't know.
It's crazy, man, because this lends to the whole Antioch Declaration thing, which I'm going to bring Mantis up to speed on that tomorrow on the layman, man. But bro, the craziest thing is I would never, outside of historical research and context, right, turn to a rabbi for anything to do with the fulfillment of the prophecy of the Old Testament, without expecting them to somehow slip one in there. Now,
right.
So if you want my full unpacked views on it, go watch Berlin's show when I was on there. Romans teaches us exactly how we're supposed to deal with this situation. God has laid it out for us. But notice she didn't say they went to go talk to a Muslim imam, right?
Right.
It's craziness, man.
It is craziness. This movie sounds crazy.
So that's a little bit about this story, but also Pastor Joel Osteen is one of the film's executive producers.
Island Joe.
Okay, so Joel Osteen,
I
he is the prosperity
that idiot
gospel
last
from
week.
the megachurch in Houston.
I defended on our show last week. Then I was like, well, he's not too bad. It's not like he's the devil or anything. Like, so, and here he is producing a heretical story about Mary.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Joel.
Berlin says, yeah, go watch that episode. I need my coin.
And he preaches a health and wealth gospel, basically, that if you have enough faith that God owes you promotions, he owes you health and wealth, which is not the gospel at all. Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble. Take heart, I will overcome the world. We are promised persecution. We are promised tribulation. Health and wealth are not bad things. They're beautiful things. They are blessings from God, but we are not owed those things through the gospel. He gives, he takes away. He gave to Job, he took away from Job. And it wasn't because of Job's lack of faith or because of his faithfulness that he had those blessings, but it was according to God's goodwill. And actually through discipline and through taking away, we can be sanctified. We can be drawn closer to God. And it is our holiness, not our health or our happiness, that God cares about most. He cares about those things, but he will do whatever it takes to draw us close to him and to glorify himself. And sometimes that means that we go without health or wealth. And so these people, including, not these people, I should just say Joel Osteen, but other prosperity gospels like him, prosperity gospel preachers like him, rarely post or preach about sin or repentance or sanctification. Or any of the richness of Christian theology that really matters for someone's understanding of who God is and what the gospel is. So he is a part of this executive, one of the executive producers. He is a part of the marketing campaign. One of his posts on X says, shunned and forced into hiding following a miraculous conception, Mary and Joseph go on the run to save the life of their newborn baby Jesus at all costs. This is Mary like you've never seen her before. Noah Cohen was cast as Mary. She is an Israeli actress, and people were upset about this, which is so silly. Why would people be upset about
Mary
this?
was
Again,
Israeli.
I've got issues with like the content
what is
of the movie and the arguments that it might be making, but I don't have a problem with this actress being Israeli. I think that fits who Mary was. Someone said, and this was a very popular post on X, she quote tweeted or quote posted the announcement of who the actress is in this film, said played by an Israeli actress, LMAO, go F yourself. Someone else said, if you make a movie about Mary where everyone is portrayed as non-Middle Eastern, you deserve criticism. If you make a movie about Mary and she's played by an Israeli, you deserve to be shot in the head.
Whoa.
If your zip code starts with 1 2 or
Yeah, and
1
you know what the most
3, you could be
thing
missing
in the
out
world
on.
is? I have been banned from Twitter at times for
Right.
saying the lightest nonsense, and people are allowed to say that.
No, absolutely.
That is totally that is wild, man. It's because I'm not a liberal.
Yeah, obviously, you're not on Blue Sky, man. Again, like I said, and she's cooking right now, man. This is how it works, right? Disinformation, the slight lie, I feel is more dangerous than sometimes the overt, blatant lie, where you mix enough untruth in there, and what happens? The bread's worthless, right? You know, it's absolutely worthless. It's interesting to me though that there isn't that big of an upcry on this, and that's because I think people are just over it, right? People are just over, and hopefully this has something to do with biblical literacy, where people are just like, there's no need for me to watch this. I know it's inaccurate, man. Now, we don't have a practicing Catholic up here with us to defend their position, so obviously we have to concede there, but you know, what are you gonna do, right?
Right. And so you know, like for instance, from what I understand is that this movie backs the double immaculate conception theory, that Jesus wasn't just born of a virgin birth, that Mary was as well.
Okay, so let's talk.
And that's like some Catholic thing. I think Catholics believe that or something.
So let's talk about that. What they should depict in the movie is they start off with Mary's father in the wilderness, wink, wink, for 40 days and 40 nights, wink, wink. He's visited by an angel of the Lord, wink, wink, Michael, and a promise is given to him that he will have a child. And when that child is born, stop me if any of this sounds familiar, must be dedicated to the Lord. And they never show coitus, and obviously, as they shouldn't, between Mary's father and her mother, who, according to the book, the Gospel of James, thought her husband was dead. There's a whole thing, right? There's a whole thing, but they never so heavily imply that she was that she was conceived of, you know, immaculate conception. The angel said, "You will have a child," and then they had a child. They actually show the husband coming back from the wilderness. He embraces his wife, and the next shot is of her pregnant. So I think
so they kind of skip over it, but you know, my understanding is that you know the fake book of you know, Gospel of James supposedly purports that she was also an immaculate conception, so Jesus is like a double immaculate conception, like he's like the purest of the pure. And so already that's kind of a ridiculous concept, right? Going on there. And so that that's already very Catholic, which is why I understand why Catholics are defenders of this movie and are like, you know, the chief ones in the seats or whatever. It is reaching this point where like it's making me uncomfortable.
So here's the thing though, man. And again, church history, all that stuff, you know, it is what it is. We have to give it to the church that it came from. We all know who the church fathers were and what their leanings were or their religious alliance. They were Catholics, right? In regards to this movie, man, it is a campaign of slight misinformation. slight misinformation, man. And again, I don't think it was that egregious because at one point I'm watching, I'm like, well, what's the big deal here? You know, if there are some inaccuracies, but it's the intent, and that's how they get you. Because even I was going, well, what's the big deal? Nothing here, nothing really to see here. But then I just remembered, I'm like, oh, there's a narrative here, and this may be the jab, and this may not be the hook. But the jab sets you up for the hook, doesn't it? It's like the jab, that weak jab to the stomach that you were like, why do you throw that? And you let your hands drop, and then you get caught with a cross. You know, like that.
Well, guys, if you guys are looking for something a little more biblically accurate, there was a movie that came out probably 5 or 6 years ago called The Nativity. And so here's what it is: no big stars, a little more low budget. But a more accurate telling of the nativity story and the birth of Jesus.
Yes, I love it. I'm just going to use the bathroom really quickly while you let this lioness cook.
Okay, yeah. Let's see what Steve's new girlfriend has to say. I can tell he's smitten by her, but I'm a little smitten by her too. I love Allie Beth Stuckey.
Jesus? Do you know who he is? You know he was Jewish, right? Like, you know, he wasn't a Palestinian, Muslim, communist, gender fluid hippie, right? You know that? So these people, not well. There's a ton of other posts saying basically the same thing. Mary was a refugee woman oppressed by the state and had to flee her country to save her and her child's life. Casting an Israeli woman, it's frankly insulting.
What?
Okay, here's the best one. Because I'm so glad that they consulted Muslims for this film. Okay, here's a Muslim commentator saying Mary, the mother of Jesus, was Muslim.
What? What?
There is more written about.
Oh, wait! What did this motherfucker just say? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. What did this guy just say?
No, are you new to this, man? Are you not hip to this, bro?
I mean, it makes
Islam. Do you know why I have such issue with the decanonized books or fraudulent books that didn't make it into the Bible? Because of this stuff. Now, it's because of this stuff with Islam, where in other groups on the internet, they go to these decanonized books and then they add them to their canon and then they argue. Yeah. Go for it. Just let it rock.
Oh my God. Because here's what I'm saying. I have seen a Muslim say that they're like Adam was the first prophet of Islam.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Adam? They believe Adam was Muslim?
Yeah.
Good.
Remember that night when you were like, you're going to try to be an Islamic scholar? I told you, I'm not an Islamic scholar. I just know a little bit more than the average Christian when it comes to this stuff. And I'm just like, don't be surprised.
Oh, man.
Her in the Quran than in the Bible. She is described as the purest woman in the world. Sure she is. She was Muslim. Okay, she was Jewish. Joseph was Jewish. Jesus was Jewish. Now, Jesus also is the Son of God, and he is the founder of Christianity. He is the center of Christianity. We believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, the life, that no one comes to the Father except through him, whether you are Jew or Gentile. That is who Jesus is. Yes, as a person, he was Jewish, but he is also the founder, the initiator, the sustainer of the Christian faith. And the Christian church is the bride of Christ, and he is coming back again, and he will avenge his people, and those who have found salvation through him, who are a part of his flock, will get to enjoy his presence and victory forever and ever. That is who Jesus is. He wasn't I don't know what y'all think. Like, I don't know.
Yo, pause it.
Islamic.
Bring Berlin comment back up, man. Because
Yeah.
bro, I want you to know, if you'd have put that up in the Sneeko stream, you probably would have blew his mind. It's so simple, but it's so accurate. Jesus
That makes no sense. Christianity came before theirs, and they say dumb things like Jesus prayed like a Muslim. You mean guys prayed like you guys prayed like Jesus? Exactly. Jesus died 600 years, at least 600 years before Islam came on the scene. And so if Jesus is praying like you are emulating Jesus.
And it's so crazy, man, because the minute you go to any argument refuting them, it's always, well, the books have been corrupted. And I'm like, well, okay, by that standard, which books aren't corrupted? So I know how to talk to you, right? Which books have not been tampered with? Oh, only the books that slightly, not even a little bit, support your narrative. But you take either group, right, the other two of the quote unquote big three, and you take them to Isaiah 53, and they both have wild responses to it. One's like, oh, it's Israel. I'm like, no, it's not. Because Israel was not blameless. You show it to a Muslim and they're like, well, it's not saying what you think it's saying. No, I think it's saying exactly what it's saying, bro.
Well, the problem with the corrupted argument is, where is the proof?
Oh,
anytime they're like, oh, such and such is corrupted, where is the where is the evidence of that? And so, even not even just Muslims, but I'm saying, like, these groups who are like, they're like, the Bible nowadays has been corrupted from its original source. Well, can you prove otherwise? Because scholars can actually pinpoint ancient documents and compare them to modern documents and can tell it hasn't. And here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it hasn't. And so, like, for instance, the Catholic Bible is an example. No offense, Catholics, love you in theory. But, like, for instance, they extended Daniel.
Yeah.
Which was clearly not meant to happen. And however, that's what it is. Protestants called them on that. It was like, we can trace back that Daniel is supposed to have these chapters, and they cut him out.
Yeah.
And so what it is there isn't any actual evidence that these things are that these, people are like, king, a lot of, like, idiots are like, kings have rewritten the Bible so many times. Prove it, because we see a strand of scholarly documentation. Like, for the Old Testament, we literally have old Testament things written on rocks.
Bro, here's the crazy thing, man. When you shift that to their side, the proof of burden argument, which I'm notorious for using, I'm like, all right, so you've made a claim, and now you have to argue with nearly every the consensus of every bit of scholarship and forensic data proving that these papers, these fragile I can never pronounce the word right. They literally found word for word translations, right? From that time period to some of the text we use today, right? And you can't reason with these people. That's what happened to your boy Billy Carson. And
my boy?
Not your boy.
Because he's too weird for me. Trust me, I like someone who rants and raves about aliens and stuff and the Bible, but no, he's too stupid.
Do you want to watch a little bit of his embarrassment? Like, if I find like highlight clips, because it was really
if you have a highlight clip, that would be great. Let's let her finish her thoughts. Sweet, beautiful angel.
Jihadist, Palestinian, pro-Gaza, anti-Israel activist. That's not who Jesus was. And you don't believe him. Like, you don't believe that he's God. So why do you even care what nationality he was? You despise him, actually. You despise everything that he stood for. You despise the faith that he initiated. And so really, a lot of you just want to use him as your political tool, as your mascot. Now let's talk about, like, what is actually in this film, Bree, because I don't see anything in my notes at all. And so I guess that you're going to provide us with your problems.
Yeah, I'll provide you. I'm a hater, like you said. No, I really wanted to like it. I really did. I wanted to be, I don't know. I wanted to like it, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
And it's because my main issue with it wasn't just that they took what they knew from the Bible and then added some things that maybe could have happened, like The Chosen says that they do.
Wait, The Chosen does.
They just
Yeah.
changed things for no reason at all. Like, for example, Mary is treated like this special. Gabriel comes to Mary's parents and tells
Yeah.
them that she's going to come and that she's going to be the answer to. So it's like one generation before, Gabriel is like doing all of he's really up to a lot in this movie. And
Yeah.
he orchestrates Mary and Joseph meeting. And
Which is not biblical. Like,
No.
we don't have any indication that Gabriel went to her parents.
No. And she throughout the whole film is treated like this special, like she's the answer to something. They send her to a temple and there's this female priestess who, as soon as she sees her, she's like, you're the answer, like without anyone saying anything. And so people just kind of recognize in her that she's this special person, which I feel like undermines the story that she was just an average person that God chose for this. So that was my first issue. They're also just like dumb changes. Like Joseph and Mary go to Bethlehem not because there's a census. He says in the film, we have to escape these people coming for you. And I have family in Bethlehem. But then when they get to Bethlehem, they're trying to find a room at the inn. And no one has a room. And I'm like, you just said your family's here. I don't understand why you need a room now.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the biggest issues is also that it's explained that everyone in Bethlehem is there, not for the census, but because they heard that the Messiah was going to be born there. So everyone there knows.
Everyone there knows. And
Everyone
yet
there
when
knows.
they see a pregnant woman, they're like, nah,
Exactly.
you can't come in. I'm waiting for the savior. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not this one.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, man,
and then
that's
when she
wild.
gives
That is
birth,
wild.
then there's like crowds of people standing outside. I guess all the
Whoa,
people
what
that
up,
were
man?
there for, to see the Messiah born, and she's
Yeah.
in a stable. So things like that. There's really silly lines like Elizabeth says, she looks at her and she says, trust the strength inside you. And so there's lots of silly stuff like that. And I just thought they just changed things they didn't need to. And they made Mary this like
Feminist, female empowerment goddess.
Girl
and there's
boss
cultural
Mary.
things I feel like they probably got wrong. I'm no expert, but even with her a marriage to Joseph, that would have been expected back then, that it was just they put those two together. But she has this whole thing where she's asking God, why do I have to do this? And it just seemed kind of to be missing some cultural context.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think that you make a really good point that portraying her as having this kind of special aura about her that everyone detects undermines what God did through her. Now, I don't think, and there are Catholics in the room that could correct me if I'm wrong, that is Catholic teaching that she was detectably special throughout her life. But certainly Catholic doctrine emphasizes more of Mary than we read in scripture. Mary is not mentioned very often. Yes, she is full of grace. Yes, we believe that she is special. But I think if we read what scripture says about Mary, we get a really good and accurate rendering of who she actually was. We don't read that she was queen of heaven. We don't read that we don't believe that she was perpetually a virgin forever.
No.
We also don't believe that she didn't have a natural death, but that is what Catholic doctrine believes. They believe different things about Mary than we do. They also believe that Mary can hear our prayers, can carry our prayers.
Wait, Catholics don't believe she had a natural death?
No, there was an ascension.
Because God just hands that out to everyone. Like I'm saying, like there's a long slew of prophets who have done miraculous things for God and its people, yet did not ascend. They died naturally.
Yeah.
And so supposedly Mary got ascended.
Yeah. So Pokey said, and I'm sorry for your loss with your friend Pokey. My JW friend, rest his soul, had over 40 versions of the Bible. I'm not gonna go where I would normally go when Jehovah's Witnesses get brought up because it's a departed friend. But for instance, there's the ESV, the NIV, the CSB. These aren't different versions of the Bible. They're thought for thought, and then there's line for line, right? The only version that I would really call into question is everyone's favorite, given its history, is the King James Bible.
It's So here's the thing: King James Bible is written with the point of being poetic, and so sometimes it either adds a lot of words or uses fancy words when it doesn't need to.
Right, right.
And so I think it's biblically correct, but when you're going on and on, when you could just say he was happy in the Lord. And you turn that into 5 paragraphs of whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the best translation. That's not the one I would say to you.
Pokey also says he created a quantum trampoline that made us a sin.
Who?
God.
Well, what am I using here? So I'm using NIV these days.
Using NIV. I've been using the ESV, and I was just looking at some stuff in the Christian Standard Bible, and yeah, man, it's one of those things. But yeah, wrapping up on Mary, man, watch at your own dismay. If you're new in the Lord, I would definitely pull out your Bible, go to Luke, read that before you watch.
I would not watch this if I was a baby Christian. I would not watch any of these. These things are here to challenge you. It's already talking about a non-canonical book of the Bible, which is already tough to wrap your mind apart. That's why I had that thing in the beginning, that little rant. Yeah. Because I constantly run into people who are like, "You mean they kept James, the Gospel of James, out of the Bible because they want to oppress women?" Yeah, I'm like, no, they kept it out because it was proven to be written by a shyster trying to make money.
You know what the crazy thing is, man? The Bible really does glorify women, and you should speak to some Bible believing Christian women about that, and you'd be surprised what they have to say about their walk in the Lord and reading historical figures in the Bible in regards to women, man. But listen, I got the Billy Carson thing queued up for you. I'm going to let you know right now, Mantis, before you freak out, it is vertical because we don't have
do it to me, bro.
we don't have 3 hours to go through it. But
you are the worst.
Here's the thing, man. Oh my goodness, man. When I call out someone's insanity on the internet, I'm the villain and I'm anti-black, right? There is a duplicitous thing here where a scholar who happens to be white calls out a black guy, and I don't see the usual people coming out of the woodworks to say this is racism, because in actuality, it's just a man being refuted.
You know what it is? In this particular case, Billy Carson is particularly crazy. Like, I don't even think UFO nuts like him.
Yeah, no, amazing.
I think even they think he's a bit much. And so I have to say this before this is only Billy Carson being a fool. This isn't Wes Hoff, right?
Wes Huff is the guy that refuted him. Yeah,
is he in the video? Or?
Yeah, he's in the video.
Then I won't say anything until after we finish watching, because I loved what he said after the debate. He made this comment, and it's worthy of bringing up. But let's see what's going on.
Sinai Bible. Jesus wasn't crucified in that Bible.
Do you mind if I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
When you say the Sinai Bible, what are you referring to specifically? Refer to the Sinai Bible. Would you be referring to Codex Sinaiticus, like the codex that comes? Okay, that's why I was trying to get some clarification, because I actually have a facsimile. So I have a photocopy of Codex Sinaiticus that I work with in my office. So I have it here. And the only reason I asked for clarification is because Sinaiticus in particular is just a 4th century Greek manuscript. Its text of the Gospels reads almost identical to the modern Greek text that we develop translations from. When you say that it denies the crucifixion, or that the crucifixion is there, I mean, I can go on right now, Codex Sinaiticus, and I can look up Matthew 27, where it has Jesus being crucified. And
where was that piece?
I found the text where I was referencing. Actually, I was
misquoted. You see about Barnabas, which is a fake
the Gospel of Barnabas. According to the Sinai Bible, Jesus
what happened?
You might ask a clarifying.
So here's the crazy part, my brother. Go ahead. You say your thing before you forget.
So the Sinai Bible has all 4 canonical Gospels, but it also has the Book of Barnabas. Now, the Book of Barnabas is also one of those books that have been proven to be a lie and fake, but it's in there. And in the Book of Barnabas, Jesus avoids being crucified. But however, there are all these reasons why that is considered a fake. And so that it's true, it wounded it up in there. However, the 4 other canonical gospels are also in the Sinai Bible.
Mhm.
Meaning he does get crucified. He gets crucified 4 times.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Here's the crazy, and I'm glad you said that, man. Here's the crazy part, right? This is why you should be, to the best of your ability, well studied in these subject matters. You know, give a firm reason for the faith that you have inside of you, right? The root of apologetics, because you're going to encounter these people, man, and you're going to encounter these people. And I hope Billy comes to know the Lord. I'm not out here dunking on him, man. At the end of the day, I hope that this is the moment that brings him closer to God. But how amazing was that? He was like, I have a facsimile of it. Right? Let me just turn around, grab this right now,
and ready.
Correct you. Because that argument is the root of so many other internet scholarship arguments. It blows my mind, man. It absolutely blows my mind, bro. Berlin says W stream. Thank you, Berlin. I'm glad you're having a good time. Berlin always.
So my favorite like thing that happened is after this came out, and once again, you know, I don't think Huff's this type of guy, but you know, obviously Billy Carson after this debate was like, don't release it.
Oh yeah,
I don't give you permission to release it, and someone released it. However, it's not Huff. And the guy, it's someone who worked on the podcast, and it's not Huff's podcast. It's this other dude. So there's a neutral dude there, and so he released it, and so after the fact, Huff went on several things. He's hanging out with people like Mike Winger and some of these guys we watch, right? And they were like, "Oh wow, you really gave it to him," and they gave him a prize. And he says, "I just have to say one thing," and he showed video evidence of Billy Carson introducing himself as the world's leading authority on biblical histories.
Yes.
And he said it so many times, and I work in that field. Even the guys who are the leaders of the field wouldn't say that about themselves. And he's like, because he said that, I felt obligated to cut him down.
Yeah. And here's the thing, man. There's nothing malicious about it. It's just like, how long did you think you were going to run around on the internet just giving out mistruths, you know?
Right.
Sorry,
he brought it onto himself, so I love it. Super into that.
Let me ask you a question, man. Before we get to clones which don't have souls.
Well, okay, because you know, before we wrap, there is a very important story we have to touch on.
Oh no, we're not wrapping. We got time. We got time. Do you need to go?
No, I'm here.
I want to ask you, what are your thoughts about Christian rappers?
So I know they made a big stink today, you know, recently because they went on a they went to a music festival which was for secularists or whatever. Right. I heard some of the comments were like, "You can't preach to people who are high," which is like, for starters, why are you assuming the crowd is high? But I actually like Christian rap, and I gotta say, when we were on the app that shall not be named, I used to listen to the Christian rap Rhymes 95 station all the time.
Okay, there you go.
And I love it. But the whole point is, the Bible is clear on multiple places. I don't even need to state a single place because it's in so many places. We need to go where non-Christians are, and we need to speak their language and be able to communicate with them in order to preach to them. Right. So I obviously have these rappers back that like they went to a secular music festival. God bless them for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Spoke the gospel, and there was still time for people to be like, no. I just wanted to.
It's wild to me because the people who are bitching are Christians. It's like they want to tear down their own scene, their own people.
Yeah, we cannibalize our own for the wrong reasons sometimes. But Mantis, tell the people about your complicated feelings, just so you're on the record again, about clones. But now, what's going on there? What do you feel about clones?
Well, you're really onto this clone thing. So, only God creates souls, right?
Yes.
So, humans can create clones, right? But they don't have souls.
Okay. So, what about social clones? What are your thoughts on people doing the same exact thing as other people? Does their work have depth, which would be the same thing as a soul, but for creatives? So, if I forge one of your books, right? Not even forge, write something beat for beat, very similar to Romancing the Cosmos. Shout out to Romancing the Cosmos.
Thank you. No, you don't have a soul.
I don't have a soul. I don't have
In
a
the
soul.
example you just gave, you do not have a soul.
So I don't have a soul, and the material has no substance, right?
Right.
So let's talk about Brett Cooper Light, aka
Oh, that's right. Clone. How did I not see that? Oh my god. So that's funny that you're going to say that. So it's going to actually lead into our other story after that. But let's start with the cloning situation. So, guys, this all started when we were gathering assets for this stream, and I gave one about none other than what is on everyone's mind right now: the drones. The drones. I think we're all having issues with the drones, right?
Right.
And I was like, and Steve made a comment. I should have put it together where he's like, "You're supporting this clone." Okay, well, this is the perfect shot right here. And so we're gonna get into it right now. So for the last, I think, 2 weeks, it wasn't just last week; it was the week before. We talked about Brent Cooper leaving the comment section over on the wire. Right. And what they have is this beautiful Jewess right here, Reagan Conrad, and she's Jewish. Reagan Conrad, who is good friends with Brett Cooper. She's a producer on the show, and she's been slowly kind of doing more videos as Brett Cooper was leaving. Right, she's kind of taken over for her. It was clear for a while. I saw it coming. I was like, well, who's this blonde? And at first, I admit, I was like, who's this blonde? You're not Brett Cooper, and all this stuff. And so I am totally fine. I will state right now, I am 1,000,000% fine with her taking over. I followed Brett Cooper's new channel.
Yes.
When she finally launches stuff, I will be watching those videos. It's going to be great.
Right.
The way I see it is, it's great that we have two conservative hotties dropping content as opposed to one. It's a win-win for everybody.
Right, but how are you going to have two people who hit the same cadence and the same beats doing, unless Brett changes up her style completely? But this is, just play the video and we'll talk about the drones. But this is wild, man. When I watched the edited of them,
I admit, but do you remember what I said? Do you remember what I said? Probably like 2 weeks ago. I had pointed out that I was like, we've never seen the true Brett Cooper, and you're like, what? And I was like, she's clearly just reading from a script the Daily Wire gave her, and we've never seen the real her. And so I do believe that this is corporate nonsense, right?
Right.
However, it's informative and entertaining.
Yeah, no.
Plus, I like blondes. I really do like blondes, and so this might be an upgrade. No offense, Brett Cooper. I love Brett Cooper. I'm going to keep watching Brett Cooper. You know what it is? She's not going to have the same cadence as this girl, because she's going to stop reading from the script, and maybe we're going to finally actually see a YouTube channel where Brett Cooper is her actual authentic self.
Yes, amen to that. Amen.
But right now, I'm fine with a clone reading from a script.
Listen,
just like I like my sex dolls and my sex androids to be reading from a script, I'm fine with this blonde reading from a script.
I was going to give you a much more generous symbolism, which is, if the Coca-Cola is in there, Mantis will definitely reach for an RC.
Of course. and you know what I'm saying? I actually think the person who says we're out of Coke, we only have RC, saying, what the hell? I'm not drinking them. There is something wrong with you. You need to see a therapist. If there isn't any Coke, I'm going for a Pepsi. If there isn't a Pepsi, I'm going for an RC. That goes for every company. You know why? You're all meaningless. If you're
definitely
it's
going
Burger King, it's McDonald's, and then it's Wendy's.
But you're definitely going for a tropical fantasy first, right? If that's there.
Of course.
Man.
Tropical fantasy with this chick right here. now another reason why it's so funny, it wasn't going to originally use her video because she's new to the scene, and a lot of people would be like, we don't know who this chick is. But the reason why I ended up putting her video in our chat where we put all our content that we're going to talk about is because I think this video particularly thoroughly sums up what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling.
Okay, hit it.
Because you got to admit, you've been following the drone thing.
Yeah, I've been following it.
And so you have to admit, there's a lot of bad news on it where they're like, there's guys who just like they're filming the air and they're like, we don't know who the drones are. And I'm like, are you news or what are you exactly? And so this is at least a coherent thought. Plus, she's hot.
Of you who may not know me, my name is Reagan Conrad, and I am the new host of the comment section. If you are very confused and you are wondering what the heck is going on, please refer to the last 2 videos on this channel. It will hopefully give you much more insight as to what has happened over the last couple of weeks. But nonetheless, there has been something that has been going down that we must discuss. Now, I have had multiple family members and friends reach out to me about these drones, sending me pictures, showing me what's going on, and I've been so confused. So we're going to break it all down today, and I'm going to show you exactly where my rabbit hole started and where it ended. So it started here with a Fox News report that said, more than 20 days into phenomenon, Pentagon still has no answers about origins of mysterious New Jersey drones. While the FBI maintains the drones aren't foreign, officials admitted they are concerned about how little they know about them. 20 days? This has been happening for 20 days and there are no answers. I thought this was something that had just started a couple of days ago and it's like, okay, it makes sense. They're still investigating. No, 20 days. It's basically been since Thanksgiving and there are no answers. But there are certainly conspiracies and we're going to be getting into some of those. But back to the Pentagon having no answers weeks in, which is
weird,
very
man.
This reminds me of those Chinese spy balloons that we saw back in 2023, just wafting over our very important American airspace. Meanwhile, we all
Yo, this would be like if someone started a podcast called The Guys That Really Like Comics. And then I saw our alternate versions. Right.
Right. And you know what's funny? I bet you if we were to scour the internet, there probably are guys that are clones of us. There is, a tall mulatto, big bone dude, bald, chilling with his African American brother, talking shit and talking about Brett Cooper right now, because no one's original. I'm not original. You're not original. None of us are, which is why I'm fine with. I'm fine with it. Here's what I'm saying. This isn't like the quartering, where the quartering was like a guy who was like he made his own channel and he's like, I'm the. If someone wanted to replace him, like a corporation was like, this is the new quarterling, and they put some handsome slender guy on there, I would be like, this is fucked up, because the quarterling, it was a unique, authentic thing. This is corporate media.
No, it's like they pop up on the screen. It's like, what's going on? It's the guys that like fan stuff, and I'm here with the slender mantis. I'm the slender spider, and your boy Steve with genuine name.
Nephew Steve.
Nephew Steve, genuine name. No. Yeah, Berlin says, take a breath, lady. Yeah, her and Brett Cooper talk really fast, man. They talk really fast.
Well, you got a lot of ideas to get in, so let's talk about you. So let me ask you before we go any further. Do you have any theories on the drones?
I didn't have any theories on the drones. I was mildly concerned about it because I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then Joe Rogan brought me to a heightened sense of paranoia where he posted a clip of some guy saying that these drones could surmising the entire video, these drones could very well be looking for toxic waste or weapons that have made it through, because that's something that happened when some stuff came up missing in Ukraine. So, but
right,
now,
the theory is their scanners are looking for a dirty bomb or something like that.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I definitely heard that one. There's a bunch of theories, right? One person said it's either a foreign government or it could be Space Force, because there is a rumor that Space Force is training their new drones up until they said Christmas Eve. If this suddenly stops on Christmas Eve, I will believe that it was Space Force. But they said they had a new generation of drones and they're training them. They're training them to scan cities.
Okay, get ready.
And so how fast can they scan a city? We'll see. I have a feeling that the way the government is like shutting up, they are responsible.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But let's see what our beautiful blonde Jewess has to say.
Just watched, and then eventually they were shot down, and then they happened to be discovered to have intelligence gathering devices, but we weren't supposed to worry because officials also said that they had no proof that any of that intel actually got back to China. So forgive me if I'm a bit skeptical about ginormous drones flying over our sky just weeks before a major event in the US, such as, I don't know, the inauguration of a globally controversial American president. Now, the sighting started on November 18th near Morris County, New Jersey, and there have apparently been sightings every night since then. Apparently, these drones often appear to fly in coordinated patterns and then can remain in flight for up to 6 hours, which is an insane flight time for a drone, but we'll get into that. It's also been reported that there's sightings near critical infrastructure, but they've also been seen in rural and residential areas. It's also being reported that these drones are anywhere from 6 feet to 8 feet in length, which again is insane for a drone. I meant to bring my drone in today because I also know how to fly a drone, but my drone is about this big, and these drones are bigger than this desk. So just for some perspective. Now, I will say that any footage that we're going to be showing here is, first of all, hard to find and verify, which is why we're not going to be showing too much, but you can go online and you can see a bunch of things. But it's also tricky to get the magnitude and the visual of this because these people are taking, iPhone photos at nighttime. But here's just one photo that Fox News posted. And if you can see in this photo, it looks like there's at least 3 hovering, and this is just someone's backyard. So they're low, but they're also very much lit up so everyone can see them. It's so weird. So there so far have been 6 states mainly that are having these sightings, and it's New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Ohio. And those
And to the spreading out would probably follow that whole theory that they're looking for a dirty bomb or some sort of nuclear weapon. That, they're scanning an area they believe it is, and they continue to go out. That's why they're going further. But I gotta say, I've been obsessed with their videos. I've been watching the videos, and it is true. Like, they start out as an orb. They're like a lit orb, and so it's weird. Sometimes the orbs will move as an orb.
Right.
Other times I've seen them. I was checking that. I've actually seen one where a woman was recording for minutes while was hanging out in her area. She's just recording it, and finally it starts to move. Right, the orb dims its lights, and suddenly on the sides 2 red lights appear, and it started to look like a plane. When you look up at a plane, it has 2 red lights on each wing.
Yeah.
It was doing that. It was trying to look like a plane in the middle of the night. And so clearly it's trying to be
stealthy,
deceptive or something. It's trying to deceive us in some way. But I just don't know why they have a mode where it just looks like an orb of light, because nothing does that. It has to be a probe, right?
I'm guessing depending on the altitude. I don't know much about drones, man. And if this is some type of military exercise, maybe they're testing out some type of strobing technology, to catch people off guard. But it's weird because they were flying over my area where I live in upstate New York too. For a minute.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, everyone was posting about it, and my wife brought it to my attention. And I was just like, "What the?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got too much to worry about. I got bills to pay." On top of
do you need
else.
an anti-aircraft sniper rifle?
What makes you think I don't have one in the artillery room back there?
Okay, I'm just making sure. Not that I have one to lend out. I'm just saying, theoretically.
We're gonna be those 2 guys they were talking about in Independence Day. We need the residents of LA to stop shooting at the alien craft.
I'm gonna end those aliens.
That's the
aliens are done.
They're protecting us from the lizard people, scanning for the lizard people. Finally trying to get those,
Can you do me a favor? Can you look at her right now?
Yes.
I'm the Pause King. Any thoughts?
Not my type. And not because of her ethnic origin or anything like that. She just I recognize what type of person she represents in my head, and I'm like, it's gonna be a bad date. It's gonna be bad.
You don't have to pay attention during the date, but anyway.
She's gonna be talking really fast.
Are the ones that are now investigating things for themselves because they're confused. Obviously, our federal government is confused, but some of these local departments have even tried to attempt to fly helicopters near the drones to determine what they are. Because again, no one knows, or no one is telling us, which is more what I'm thinking it is. Because on a federal level, here's what the Secretary of Homeland Security has to say.
Can you clear up the confusion here?
No.
Absolutely, George, and thank you very much for having me. There's no question that people are seeing drones, and I want to assure the American public that we in the federal government have deployed additional resources, personnel, technology to assist the New Jersey State Police in addressing the drone sightings.
That's very
There are
non-specific.
thousands of drones flown every day in the United States, recreational drones, commercial drones. And in September of 2023, the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, changed the rules so that drones could fly at night. And that may be one of the reasons why now people are seeing more drones than they did before, especially from dawn to dusk.
Okay, do you see what he did right there? He said, yes, we're getting additional resources to address these sightings, obviously giving credence to the concern. But at the same time, he says thousands of recreational drones are flown every day, and now they're allowed to fly at night. So it could just be that. It's not just because all of these drone operators are allowed to fly at night that suddenly, all of the wedding videographers, the people like me, are flying their drones at night. I mean, guys, we have Bobby in here who is a licensed drone pilot operator, and he's also just saying that excuse is stupid. I mean, it's not like all of us videographers are just out there at night organizing these grid-like patterns. They're just flying over these very strategic areas around America. Like, that is so far-fetched and dumb. And also my last comment about that, because again, it triggered me as a drone flyer myself. If I don't keep a tight eye on my drone while I'm flying it in broad daylight, I lose sight of it. All that to say that seeing these things at
You don't think she's authentic? She's a drone flyer. Think about it.
Let it sink in.
right, and their scale, it just shows how massive they are. But again, you have someone like John Kirby saying things like this. And shout out to whoever this journalist is, because this is the way to push for a proper answer.
There has been no evidence of any of this activity in or near restricted spaces.
That's not what the senators said in the letter. They said, in fact, that they've been observed maneuvering their critical infrastructure, sensitive locations, including reservoirs and military installations, and cited a concern from law enforcement about public safety threats because a medevac helicopter was prevented from transporting a seriously injured patient for care because of the presence of these drones.
I stand by my opening statement. You haven't seen any indication thus far that there's a public safety risk, and we haven't seen.
Government know what they are.
We are still investigating this. I can't tell you definitively.
So you look outside your back window at night,
right?
And there's a dude walking around. And then when you try to go up to him, he runs off.
Right.
Then when you call the cops go, oh, we don't know who he is or what he's about, but you're good. And they go home. How would you feel?
Of course, I'd have the same reaction, man. I would definitely have the same reaction.
Look at Sheldon not paying attention. He says, "Who's this chick?" We've been talking nonstop about this, bro. That is Reagan Conrad. That is my new boo. Blonde Jewess. Former producer of the comment section with Brett Cooper, and now host. There's an argument as to, did she steal the show? Did she betray Brett Cooper by doing this, by becoming the new host? My argument is no. Brett's going to be fine. She's going to have she's already got 300,000 on her YouTube subs. She has no videos, and she's been out like 2 days or something. So she'll be fine.
Yeah, everything's going to be okay. In regards to the drones, though, right? So right now, the answer we seem to be getting is none of your business.
That's what America's saying. None of your business.
Continue on with your day. Stop asking, because it's still going to be none of your business, or we can give you the word salad.
Which leads me to believe it is either them or something similar to, we're looking for a dirty bomb and we don't want to talk about it.
Right. Or we're looking for the ability to be able to track you effortlessly, right? The new form of the militarized police, Occupy America, drones. That's the part no one wants to talk about, which is, what if it is the government? And what if they're not looking for an impeding threat? What if this is just the government saying, hey, we got a new way to look at you. You get out of line. You love your gun so much. And I love those people. Like, they'll have to pry from my cold hand. And as Matt Chandler said, like, sir, they can scratch your hand with a missile from the sky.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing with the new technologies. That's why, like, people are like, if you got a vaccine, you got a computer on you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they can track me a million other ways. They do not need a microcomputer in my blood.
No, they definitely.
You know what I'm saying? They can listen up to my conversations through my phone or my television or my radio or whatever. If I want to participate in society, they have surveillance on me.
Shaolin says you have a type.
So here's what it is. I do have a type. I absolutely will admit that I have a type, and I gotta say, blondes tend to be that type. And I will say this: I've dated all sorts of women, and I believe there's something beautiful about every woman. If you know, but I do like blondes. So
the mantis has a heart. Did you have another controversial topic, or was that our last topic for the night?
That is our last topic. Although I do. There is more that I want to talk about this.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, you don't seem very into the
I cannot characterize for you definitively what these sightings are.
I mean, on one hand, they're telling us they pose no threat to public safety, which is great. While on the other hand, they're saying that they have no idea what they actually are. So make those two things make sense. Here's another senator pushing the FBI.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy.
Now, while our public officials are saying that nonsense, the public is posting their own footage all over social media. There are countless videos on the internet, and while I would love to show them all, they're also very hard to verify, but there are enough that clearly something is going on, and no one is disputing that. I mean, everyone is going outside and discovering these weird drones in the skies. I haven't seen a drone yet, but I have discovered armor colostrum, which has been a total game changer.
They disappear visually. And I don't know about you, but I don't think a Mavic Pro can do that. Whenever we get close to these things, they go dark, which means they either disappear off radar or they disappear visually. And I don't know about you, but I don't think a Mavic Pro can do that. So let's keep our eyes and ears peeled.
Yeah, can confirm.
Anything else that comes out in the near future.
Now, this is just one of many videos on TikTok, but the comments under this one were especially great. Someone said, the series finale of America is wild. Someone else said, as a millennial, I am tired. Another comment said, when can I stop paying rent? I mean, our generation is so unserious. I just hope that if the time ever comes where we need to become a serious population, that we can actually become that. Someone else commented and said, until I see it, it's not real, which again is a very valid comment. And I say all of this with a level of skepticism because obviously we have no idea what's going on. So I'm just telling you guys what I'm seeing online. But here's another video from a skeptical journalist who's out covering footage in New Jersey.
As a resident of New Jersey, as a journalist, I didn't pay it much credence. I thought it would turn out to be a bunch of pranksters and this would all be over by now. The experience I had last night, however, changed the way I feel about this story completely. What I saw was more sophisticated than I ever imagined. Take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 lights, 6 lights. I didn't believe what I was seeing. But what was I seeing? We're here in Central Jersey. We've been looking for the past hour. I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones. In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there. One after another. These drones appeared in the night sky. If you look real close, they look like fixed-wing aircraft, about 8 to 10 feet wide, colorful, white blinking lights.
Just following some FFA guidelines.
Definitely not an airplane, but what was it?
There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn
50 coming
officer.
off the ocean.
Sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I mean, just the idea that anything is coming out of the ocean is terrifying. I don't know what to think about that one, but I've heard that a couple of places, specifically around one incident. But obviously no one knows what to think, and the theories online are getting wild, which is not the least bit surprising considering that there was an emergency congressional hearing held, like that one video mentioned, and I even saw that the FBI was asking the public for help, specifically seeking what they called subject matter experts. They need Bobby, it sounds like. But of all these theories that we've seen online, there is one that seems to make some semblance of sense, although perhaps disconcerting to say the least. And so when I saw this one video, man who claimed to be actually a subject matter expert, I listened and am intrigued. And so is Joe Rogan, because he reposted this video and said, this is the first video about these drones that got me genuinely concerned.
There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast. And as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. I don't particularly believe that these have a nefarious intent. I could be wrong. Back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there were, with Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed. I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine. And he knew that that thing was headed towards the United States. Okay. That is a very serious deal. So, with this,
here's my problem with what he's saying. He's claiming that he has a friend who was in the Ukraine and he knew that people were smuggling a nuclear weapon out. How did it get here? Do you have proof that a nuclear weapon is here? What does this have to do with the drones? He's claiming they're scanning for the nuclear weapon, but he's offered no evidence other than wild speculation.
Right. But no one's offering any evidence. That's what makes these.
That's what I'm saying. She said, "Here's an expert," and the expert is just spouting conspiracy theories. Me and you have conspiracy theories. I don't need this guy's conspiracy theories.
Right.
You know, he ain't doing shit for dick. That's what I can do without this hillbilly. Oh, he talks a long time. Okay, there we go.
How logical they are. The real question is, why is the government holding back information from the public? Someone else said, makes sense. If they were not our drones, they would have intervened. They have to be ours, and there has to be something of this magnitude going on for them to allow the speculation versus tell the truth, which is a very interesting point. It would sort of make sense that they're just letting these speculations to occur because they don't actually want to tell us the details of what's going on. So clearly, I don't know how to feel about this, especially when I see our president-elect saying things like this. He went on Truth Social and said, mystery drone sightings all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know, and now, otherwise, shoot them down. And as classic Americans, they're ready to roll. Someone commented and said, give us the green light, Donald. America will handle it. Someone else said, this whole thing is so wild, and everyone is just like shopping. Yeah, because it's the holidays, and no one knows what to do, so they might as well go back to their normal lives. All of this to say, all of this speculation, the theories, again, they're not saying it's a public threat, so that's good to hear. But there are thousands of reports happening every night, especially in those 6.
Yeah, so everyone's caught up. Vex says, yo, this is my first time seeing the footage of these. I saw one of these outside my window last month. I didn't know what it was. It was just looping around the neighborhood. I decided to close my window, mind my own business, and go to sleep. Uh-oh. For all you know, it was an alien.
That is the perfect response.
I don't really think it's an alien at this point. I really think it's our own government.
Yeah. But to what end are they doing
I would
this?
love to hear from all of you out there who are living in these states. Are your friends and your family seeing anything? If so, let us know in the comments. I'm so curious. And frankly, the whole reason why I really wanted to do this episode was to see what you guys are seeing and try to piece together more of an understanding of what's going on. So throw out your theories, throw out your firsthand accounts in the comments, and let's see what we can piece together. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. And if you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. And last but not least, make sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss one of our episodes.
You were in her wedding. You were in her wedding.
So what did you think of her? To be honest.
I mean, she hits the same beats, and I'm actually gonna go where Ruslan KD went, which is they got a formula that works. You know, but now it seems more generic than when Brett was doing it, because when Brett was doing it,
it's a second person doing it, right?
Yeah, when Brett was doing it, it was just like, okay, this is their attempt again at the Gen Zers, you know, the streaming culture. But now we just realize this is just their stick. But hey, it's their business, it's their market. Candace Owens said this the same exact thing. Like, they have this formula and they're gonna use it, man.
Yeah, and so basically, like, I remember, my sister is a huge who's that communist? The Turkish communist.
Oh, Hassan,
yeah, Hassan Viker was like, he had attacked Brett Cooper when she first came out, and he was like, yo, that's not a real bedroom. They try to make it look like it's someone's bedroom. And like all this stuff. And I'm like, I started thinking, I was like, I don't care. Is the idea that you think you're going to discredit her by telling? I don't care that she's a corporate servant. I don't think she's like some, like I said, some hardworking content creators. Like, I need to get the truth out there, and they're doing it. I know she was hired by the Daily Wire. I don't care. right? But also, when she gets replaced, I don't care either. Just make sure that your follow up looks better than her, and I'm good. And no offense, Brett, you're just not my type.
I mean, yeah, they felt like she was impeding on the streamer culture and the corner of the market that they hold, but she hit the beats, man. She's I think the show is going to go on just fine. I don't know if there's any truth to the Daily Wire coming to an end or being in any financial
Did you
dangerous
hear the
place.
rumor that they may be selling themselves? And this is crazy, to Fox News.
I mean, that would make sense. That would make sense, man. The Snow White movie got canned. It's funny because we all thought the other Snow White movie was going to get canned before this one. But
yeah, and then so I think Ruslan said, it's so funny. I love that he pointed out that he said, who wished Brett Cooper happy trails? It was Matt Walsh and it was like someone else, and he was like, those people are probably going to leave too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a good take, man. That's a good take. I mean, it can only last so long. Crazy thing is they own those channels. You can't really replace. I guess you can find someone like Matt Walsh, but here's the thing, man. So many people are podcasting now, and so many people are just going to. It appears to me, I don't have any data to support the statement, but from what I'm seeing, people are going to smaller podcasts where they feel like they can trust these people and they're not corporatized. And I told you when the Candace thing happened, man. They lost a lot of cred after that entire thing. You can't be a free speech platform and,
Yeah, no, I agree. It'll be interesting to see what's going on. I, for one, am committed to watching both Reagan and Brett. There's enough room. You know what it is? There were times where I don't have enough new YouTube creator content. There's times I'm like, what am I going to watch? And so I'm glad there's another person to watch,
No, I'm not mad at you, man. I'm not mad at you at all. I am going to say I bid thee adieu. Your man here has to get up and go fight the drones at his job.
I've had a good time. Did you have a good time?
I did, man. Thank you for helping me recover from the technical difficulties. I'll have this all fixed before we, do our thing tomorrow, man. And folks, you can find me Thursday nights, mic check, or Sunday nights, mic check. To all you Kendrick stands, we got to talk. I might have another come to the head of the church moment for you, but otherwise than that, we'll be getting into some more hip hop news.
And you can catch me every Saturday and Sunday. That's right, a decker for the foreseeable future of Burn Your Degree on Riz Radio. That is 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, where I rip it and I break it all down and I make you feel like a fool for ever trying to challenge me. It's going to be a good time. Until next time, guys, ciao for now. Peace.